So guys, we have a new update for you on the latest censorship insanity. So like Abby Martin before him, Chris Hedges has now had the entire catalog of his show that he hosted on RT for years deleted from YouTube completely indiscriminately without regard to any topical considerations or anything like that. Let's go ahead and put Chris's article that he wrote on this up on the screen. He says, Hedges on being disappeared, which is a good way of putting that. I really recommend you read all of this because, as always, Chris Hedges, Pulitzer Prize winning journalist, incredibly thoughtful and extraordinarily beautiful with the language as well. But this one part I wanted to read for you makes a very important point. He says, there's not one show here that dealt with Russia. I was on RT because as a vocal critic of U.S. imperialism and militarism and of the corporate control of the two ruling parties, and especially because I support the boycott, divestment, and sanctions movement against Israel, I was blacklisted. I was on RT for the same reason the dissident Václav Havel, who I knew was on Voice of America during the communist regime in Czechoslovakia. It was that or not be heard. Havel had no more love for the policies of Washington than I have for those of Moscow. And he goes through some of the interviews that are lost here. I mean, interviews with people like Noam Chomsky, with Cornel West, with Naomi Wolf, interviews with Stephen Donziger, interviews with Glenn Greenwald and Matt Taibbi, discussions of literature, discussions of history. It didn't matter what it was. It was just the fact that it was affiliated with RT in any way. It gets completely and wholly disappeared. Stephen Donziger, who I just mentioned, who had appeared on the show and obviously has been insanely persecuted by Chevron in cooperation with our judicial system. He tweeted about this. Let's go ahead and put that up on the screen. He says, breaking, YouTube wipes out the entire video archive of Pulitzer Prize winning journalist Chris Hedges, including his interviews with me about my illegal Chevron prosecution and detention. Censorship by big tech is the greatest threat to free speech today. Our friend Matt Taibbi also spoke with Chris Hedges about this. We can put his tear sheet up on the screen as well with a quote there from Chris that says, they will shut down Substack. I absolutely know. And of course, the knives have long been out for Substack. Right. I think the only thing that is protecting Substack right now is the fact that they do have these sort of like never Trump resistance type figures.
Like libs, which is good.
Which is great. Yeah, it should be ideologically diverse. Yes. They've done a great job at doing that. But he is absolutely right that any of these spaces of independent thought are ultimately at risk because you see how quickly this happened. I mean, just like this. Yeah.
Chris is such a good writer. I gotta read a bit more from this. What were my sins? I did not, like my former employer, the New York Times, sell you the lie of weapons of mass destruction in Iraq, peddle conspiracy theories about Donald Trump being a Russian asset, put out a 10-part podcast called The Caliphate that was a hoax, or tell you that the information on Hunter Biden's laptop was disinformation. I did not prophesize Joe Biden was the next FDR or that Hillary Clinton was going to win the election. This censorship is about supporting what, as I.F. Stone reminds us, governments always do. Challenge the official lie, as I often did. You will soon become a non-person on digital media. Julian Assange and Edward Snowden exposed the truth about the criminal inner workings of power. Look where they are now. This censorship is one step removed from Joseph Stalin's whitewashing of non-persons such as Leon Trotsky out of official photographs. It is a destruction of collective memory. It removes those moments in media and the press when we attempted to examine our reality in ways the ruling class did not appreciate. The goal is to foster historical amnesia. If we don't know what happened in the past, we cannot make sense of the present. That is just so well written, and bringing you the words of a disappeared man, which is really dark. I mean,
yes, it is.
Look, the guy is a Pulitzer Prize winning journalist. If you think that he deserves to get taken off because he happened to work for RT, you're crazy. I don't know what to tell you. Same with Abby Martin. I mean, she's done excellent journalism. I don't agree with all of it. Doesn't matter. She is somebody who has a courageous woman who has willing to, gone up and stand up and scream in the face of power. No question, she deserves not just a voice, prominence, the ability to stand right up next to anybody who is challenging power in the way that they purport to, over at the CNNs and all of that of the world. And not enough people are willing to speak up because they happen to work for Russia Today. I don't care if they work for Russia Today. I care that the guy did good work, that he challenged the regime on areas that it mattered. And even if I didn't agree with a word that he said and thought, even if I thought he was peddling Russian disinformation, I wouldn't care because that's not what a free country is really all supposed to be about. So we live in a crazy time right now.
Yeah.
Guys. I don't know what else to say.
It truly is the definition of reactionary. I mean, that's why we focus so much on this just like attack on anything Russian. And you can see how some of the darker chapters of American history have unfolded. Like you see it happening in real time, this dark impulse, and how easy it is to whip people into a sort of frenzy where they're happy to overlook this like outright bigotry of anything Russian and erasure of, you know, prominent, courageous figures like Chris Hedges, Abby Martin, and their entire body of work just like that. The snap of the fingers, no explanation, no opportunity to sort of, you know, change anything, to make it right, just like that, completely erased and gone. It really is absolutely extraordinary. And I do think that the point here too is important, that there's a reason why they were on RT. It's not because they're like, yay, Russian government, go Vladimir Putin. It's because they had already been disappeared from the American traditional media mainstream. This was the only option that was left. And now, with this flimsiest of excuses, they're also pushed out of that sphere as well. So I think it represents a very grim indictment of the status of our own democracy, that this type of very authoritarian and very sort of patronizing or patriarchal view of we have to like nanny state what the people can see and what they can hear and what information they're allowed to have access to. I think it really is an indictment of a lack of confidence and lack of grounding in true democratic principles here. And as Joe Biden is laying out his whole like, you know, this is the fight of the democracies versus the authoritarians, we would do well to turn our gaze inwards as well at the failings of our own democratic institutions. I would offer up the censorship of people like Chris Hedges and Abby Martin as a case in point in that.
100%.
All right, guys, thanks for watching. More for you later.
Hey guys, we're gonna be totally upfront with you. This is the most perilous time that we have ever operated in.
It is so difficult just to try to sort through the news, but even more importantly, to bring you accurate information as this wave of lockdown and censorship spreads across the nation.
Yeah, look, if you can become a premium subscriber today at breakingpoints.com, you're gonna help us build out a vibrant, independent media ecosystem which is free of mainstream pressure. We can't tell you how important that is at a time like this.
Yep, that's right. Go to breakingpoints.com to subscribe. We love you guys and we appreciate you so much.